Hey everyone, and welcome back to Happily Gamer After. Now, if you were a gamer in the early 90s, then you probably spent a lot of time in the local arcades, just hanging out with your friends and spending like $20 a day in quarters. And if you're anything like me, there's a good chance that a lot of those quarters went into Street Fighter II, the one-on-one fighting game that completely revolutionized the genre. With a 6-button interface, special command moves, and beautifully detailed characters, Street Fighter II was doing things that no other fighting game had done before. Over the years, we'd get new iterations of Street Fighter II that introduced new characters, had better graphics, and rebalanced gameplay. Eventually, we'd get the Street Fighter Alpha series that showed us the origins of our favorite fighters and how they came to be, and then Street Fighter III, which introduced Ryu and Ken to a variety of new challengers. More recently, we got Street Fighter IV, which brought the series visually to the third dimension and ended with the largest cast of characters ever assembled in a Street Fighter game. And now, after 25 years, Capcom has evolved its signature franchise to the next generation with Street Fighter V.
この道を進むのみ。私の邪魔をするのなら消えてもらう。Round 1. Fight!
If you don't know the difference between throwing a fireball and unleashing a sonic boom, then you've probably never played a Street Fighter game before. But that's perfectly okay, as Street Fighter V was created with casual players in mind as an easy entry point into the world of competitive fighting games. But don't worry, gamers, when it comes to the hardcore mechanics that fans of the series love to exploit, Street Fighter V brings the goods with its signature tournament-level gameplay. Since the rise of Street Fighter II, the core mechanics of the game haven't changed at all. Players still fight head-to-head battles using punches, kicks, and special moves to knock each other out in the best 2 of 3 rounds. Super Street Fighter II Turbo introduced the Super Meter, which built up over time and could be expended to unleash a powerful combo attack. Street Fighter III expanded on the Super Meter to include EX Specials, where a specific length of the meter could be used to power up and alter a character's special moves. Street Fighter V uses both of those systems with the EX gauge, where landing offensive blows builds the meter to power up specials and unleash powerful finishing moves called critical arts. New to Street Fighter V is the addition of the V gauge, which builds up as you take damage and adds 3 new techniques: V skills, V reversals, and V triggers. V skills are unique abilities for each fighter that range from powerful attacks to parries and damage absorptions. V reversals allow you to counter an attack at the expense of a small portion of the V gauge. When the V gauge is full, you can activate your V trigger, which vary by character. Some will give you more power and speed, while others can trigger a powerful attack or unlock new special moves. For example, Ryu returns with his signature Fireball, a dangerous ranged attack for keeping the enemy at arm's length. Upon activating his V-trigger, his fireballs become even more powerful, adding multiple hits and breaking his opponent's guard. The gameplay in Street Fighter V is the best it's ever been. The controls are smooth and responsive and feel incredibly precise on either an arcade stick or a controller. The addition of the V system adds a new layer of polish to the already amazing fighting system, and each of the 16 starting characters are well adjusted to match any player's fighting style. 8 of the classic World Warriors continued their journey to become the strongest fighters in the world. Ryu is still wandering the planet to understand the power of his fighting fist, while Chun-Li and Cammy continue to hunt down members of the criminal organization Shadaloo. 4 fan favorites from the Alpha series finally return in a blazing glory of fists and fury, while 4 newcomers round out the already impressive cast. Rashid, a technology geek from the Middle East, produces powerful mini tornadoes and fights with incredible speed and strength. Laura Matsuda, the older sister of Sean Matsuda from Street Fighter III, is a grappler who uses Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fused with electricity to take down her opponents with shocking results. F.A.N.G, one of the 4 Grandmasters of Shadaloo, is a deadly assassin who uses poison attacks to drain his enemy's vitality. But the most brutal and dangerous new opponent is Necalli, an ancient Aztec god who thirsts to defeat the most powerful fighters in the world and devour their souls. Each of the 16 fighters are really well balanced, making nearly every match exciting and unpredictable. All of the classic characters play similarly to their past incarnations, but with subtle tweaks and differences that make them feel new and refreshing. For example, Vega is no longer a charge character, and he can sheath his claw at will for an altered moveset and a command throw. The new challengers fit in perfectly to the mix, and with new playstyles like Rashid's lightning speed and Nakali's terrifying strength, they offer even more diverse matchups than ever before. Having been developed exclusively for the PC and PlayStation 4, the graphics are the absolute best we've ever seen in a Street Fighter game. Each character is beautifully detailed, from the ripples in their clothing to their bulging muscles and crazy hairstyles. The colors are so vibrant and the imagery so crisp that the characters practically pop from the screen, coming to life in your own living room. The painted brushstrokes introduced in Street Fighter 4 are now bright and colorful and add an artistic beauty to every fluid attack and winning animation. Each of the 11 stages are absolutely gorgeous. From the breathtaking heights of the Forgotten Waterfall to the neon lights of the bustling side street, each location is incredibly detailed with things like puddles of water and sparking electric signs that realistically react to the surrounding battle. Unfortunately, as pretty as they are, every stage is covered in a kind of foggy haze, making it look more washed out than the bright and colorful characters. Regardless, the graphics and gameplay are just so good that it doesn't really detract from the experience.
Round 2. Fight!
The music is exactly what you'd expect from Street Fighter, which isn't a bad thing at all. On the contrary, the classic character themes are more epic and exciting than ever, while the new tracks deliver an excitedly old-school flair that fits in perfectly with Street Fighter's rockin' repertoire. The sound effects are fierce and powerful. Every bone-crunching punch and kick reverberates heavily with a weighted intensity that brings the pain with every landed blow. With its gorgeous graphics and satisfying sounds, Street Fighter V is a cornucopia of candy for the eyes and ears. While Street Fighter V's graphics and gameplay are the cream of the crop, there's no way to discuss the game without talking about its extremely controversial launch. For 25 years now, nearly every Street Fighter game has had 3 to 4 revisions and upgrades, each released as a fully priced game. But Street Fighter V is changing that sales model for the modern age in a really exciting way. Over the next few years, Capcom plans to release new seasons of monthly downloadable content featuring new characters, stages, modes, and rebalanced gameplay. Instead of paying for multiple versions of Street Fighter V, you'll be able to purchase individual content or a season pass every year using real-world currency or in-game fight money earned by continuously playing the game, essentially earning the content for free. But because of its future plans, Capcom felt confident releasing the game in an unfinished state, completely lacking the single-player content and robust multiplayer options that the series is known for. The game launched with no arcade mode, no versus CPU, no multiplayer lobbies for more than 2 players, and a lack of other options that have been Street Fighter staples for decades. All we really got were lackluster story prequels for each of the 16 characters, a survival mode where you try to survive as long as you can in increasingly more difficult fights, and a basic training mode. In fact, some of the modes on the main menu just flat out said that they won't be available until March. Promises of huge updates like a cinematic story mode coming in July are really nice, but these are things that should have been included from the get-go. Probably not coincidentally, the game released just in time to start off the 2016 Capcom Pro Tour, giving gamers and critics the idea that Capcom released the game with only competitive players in mind and could wait until later to update the game to how it should have been released in the first place. But with its lack of content and promises of massive new updates later this summer, critics had mixed reactions and gamers just weren't sure they shouldn't save their money until later down the road. Now, as I was finishing up this review, the first update and DLC character released. We got Alex from Street Fighter 3, a challenge mode with combo trials and in-depth tutorials, the online shop for purchasing things like new costumes, and finally 8-player lobbies with match spectating. All of these are great additions, and it's a good start to seeing more and more content as time goes on.
Final round. Fight!
Even with its complicated assortment of launch problems, at its core, Street Fighter V is an excellent addition to its legacy and one of the best fighting games currently on the market. The gameplay is easy to learn yet difficult to master, and the characters are varied enough to match any gamer's playstyle. The graphics are beautiful, the music is exciting, and even with its current lack of content, the game promises to be one of the most fully featured fighting games in the future, with continuous updates as time goes on. Whether you feel the need for an immediate purchase, or you'd rather wait until more content is available, Street Fighter V is definitely worth playing, as it may well become one of the greatest fighting games of all time. So honestly, I don't really have a whole lot left to say about Street Fighter V. It's a really great fighting game, and if you like fighting games, I highly recommend picking up a copy. And if you're just interested in getting into fighting games or trying out the genre, it's really a great starting point. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm very, very humbled. The first video got up to 500 views in less than a week, and it just blew me away, the amount of love and support that everyone has given me for this show. Ultimately, I want to do an episode a week, and I'm hopefully getting there, just kind of working things out right now. But if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Tell me if you'd like me to review any games or anything you think I could do better. And if you like the show, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.